Alrighty, people, this is Renegade Operative yet again, coming at you live with another video. First and foremost, I'd like to say thank you to one of the people I've been talking to, one of my friends, Celtic Reviews, where he said he was going to offer counterpoints to these two Dead Rising videos that I recently got from him. And it was people saying that the new deluxe remaster is ugly and PlayStation fanboys crying over physical media. What a harrowing title right there. And this other guy named Dilly saying this is bad, giving his opinion on the deluxe remaster. And I want to see if there's anything worth criticizing in this. I already know that a main point of contention will be 100% people talking about Larry Chiang being redesigned or Cheryl being redesigned and having her stockings removed and her dress changed. You know, I'm gonna get to it when I get to it, and I'm gonna give you my raw opinion when I finally get there. So let's just start the video and see what is in the context of what all eyes on Jet is really saying about this remaster.
This is All Eyes on Jet, and I'm coming at you with another video, and I'm here to talk about our good old friends at Capcom right now. You know, we got another Dead Rising game coming. Oh, they say it's a remaster. Looks like a remake to me, honestly. And nobody asked for this, Capcom. Nobody asked for this game.
I think it's funny because, I mean, Dead Rising was dead for like a couple of years now. I'm pretty sure everyone can agree that Dead Rising 4 kind of put the nail in the coffin. So where do you go from here? You either go with a reboot or a remaster of something. That's the only options you have at this point when the series is sunken into the ground with a previously established sequel. So I have no problem with Capcom bringing back Dead Rising. If anything, I am sure that people thought the series was dead in the ground and that it wasn't going to get any sort of new entry whatsoever. I believe it is a time to be alive because this experiment, and that's what it is a high-key experiment. It could reinvigorate interest into the series yet again, and I'm pretty sure there are people out there who never played Dead Rising before, so it's always good to get new fans on board for something because new fans to a series means more money for that series, and it means more money for that series to continue. Again, a lot of people see it from some sort of purist fan perspective, but they don't look at the business side of reviving an IP, and if that IP is a hit, they're gonna make more, and now it's in good hands. It's not in Capcom Vancouver's hands. They are dead in the ground right now with the fertilizer, because as a studio, they are no more. And I think it's exciting that Dead Rising is now back in the hands of the original Capcom teams, and you saw people there like Kawano. You saw him still at it, the original director being on this project. So I think that's pretty cool, actually.
No, they did not, you know, but you guys in the interview, you developers talk about people wanted this game, they asked for it. No, they did not.
I'm pretty sure that there is someone out there who wanted a new Dead Rising but good. Like, who is against a revived game if it's actually worth substance and value? I don't get why folks kind of say that. I can understand some projects being unnecessary, but I don't think this is one of them at all. I really don't, and the reason why I say that is because, again, I would rather have Capcom do a project like this themselves in-house than Capcom Vancouver, where they made Dead Rising 4. And like, if they announced, let's make a hypothetical, right? If they announced Dead Rising 5 by Capcom Vancouver, would you be excited? Would you? Absolutely not. You'd be very jaded. You would be like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this last game sucked. Why do we have the same studio doing a new Dead Rising? Have we not learned? But no, they're taking it back in-house. They got a hot new director, and it seems like it's full steam ahead, right? So I don't think it's as bad as you're making it out to be, really. It could be a lot worse than what you expect.
They did not ask for it. You know what games us real Capcom fans is asking for? A Onimusha remake, a Chaos Legion remake, a Dino Crisis remake.
I mean, everyone's going to want something to be remade, which is why Capcom made that little poll not too long ago. It's like Dino Crisis is like number one, and I understand that. Maybe someday it could happen. You know, someday. As for Onimusha and as for Chaos Legion, it wasn't even in the top three. I think it was Dino Crisis, Mega Man, and Devil May Cry. That's what the fans really want, per the official poll that came out not too long ago. So, I mean, Blood, you can ask for different types of remakes, but the main three is Mega Man, Dino Crisis, you listed one, and DMC. And I think all of those probably should get priority, especially Mega Man, because that is Capcom's mascot. Where is he? Where is DMC? 5 was like a blowout success. And Dino Crisis is, well, it's been demanded for like literally 20 plus years. So it's like it's a no-brainer at this rate.
Oh, a new Darkstalkers. That's what
I wouldn't mind that, but I think Ono kind of screwed the pooch on Darkstalkers just a little bit, just a little bit.
we're asking for. Can't forget Project Justice, baby. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, he's asking for good stuff, but again, it's other things that deserve higher priority, really. And I mean, no matter what you look at with Dead Rising, it was a successful franchise with Dead Rising 1 and Dead Rising 2. They sold well, and a lot of people did like those games, and there is a demand. When there's a demand for something and when something did well, I believe it deserves like another chance, right? It's quite common.
So you give us this crap and say it's a remaster. Shame on you, Capcom, for
Why is it a shame on them? The first Dead Rising sold really well.
doing that. And also, too, your whole showcase was about Resident Evil 7 and 8 going to iPhones. That was your whole showcase, Capcom.
I mean, well, to be fair, it was I keep forgetting the name of that strategy game that's coming out. The strategy game that's not Onimusha, that's it has a demo right now. I keep forgetting. It's something Gamma. But the showcase was about that. It was about Resident Evil coming to iOS. It was about the announcement of RE9, and it was about Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. Therefore, it was more than just Dead Rising. Even though Dead Rising got a significant gameplay presentation, they had a lot of news there that I did not expect, and they went into depth a lot more than I realized, which is why people kind of like that show, because the initial teaser for Dead Rising was not doing it for people until they showed that gameplay and went into detail, and then the skeptics turned into believers when they showed that gameplay. So I don't think it was all for naught, really, dude. I really don't.
And that's me being honest about it, you know. Now, people that watch my YouTube channel, if you excited for Dead Rising double remaster or Resident Evil games going to the iPhone, hey, more power to you. You know what I'm saying?
It's probably some people excited for that. I'm pretty sure. Again, you're kind of leaving out the RE9 announcement. Even I made a video on that. So it's a lot more to look forward to in the future with Capcom.
But I don't play on iPhones. I play on PC and consoles. And Dead Rising, it doesn't look too good. The original game is better.
Are you gonna give some explanations and reasons for that, as opposed to making blanketed statements and just having rose tinted glasses and saying, hey, the original's better, blah blah blah? I think that's what this is essentially. Like that's what a lot of purists do. It's like, oh, the original better. Why? Oh, the original better. You didn't really detail your response there, Chief. Oh, the original better. You see what I mean? I don't like people that do stuff like that without explaining or even talking about the new features and putting it against the grain of the older features and figuring, hey, we have some sort of blueprint here, some stuff with the gameplay. What's good, what's bad, make it more clear and concise.
If you're going to give us a remake, because that's what it is, it's a remake. You could have changed a lot to this remake, but it's still the same game, Capcom.
Well, I mean, yeah, because, I mean, in their own words, they're not calling it a remake. They aren't surprised if people call it a remake, but they're calling it a remaster because it is still based on the old data of Dead Rising, hence why they said during this specific point in the showcase, Frank's moves and a lot of elements to the gameplay with either the timer or going around saving survivors or making mixed drinks and getting weapons and all that stuff. Largely, it's the same core experience, just enhanced, updated, improved. Because guess what? We're playing a game that was made in 2006. 2006, 2005-ish. I forget when the original came out, but a lot has changed since then. The biggest thing is the graphical overhaul to the game, but largely they try to update this game and have quality of life improvements, which I think you're missing from that particular interview, which you need to probably read and listen and check it out again.
Now, I know what people go say. Oh, Jay, you a hater. All you do is complain. Hey, I complain because I care about the industry. That's why I complain.
If you care about the industry or IP, then I don't think you would be getting mad at a dead franchise being handed back to Capcom in-house and coming back and not saying that, oh, well, who asked for this? I think you would probably be someone who would allow more creative freedom for franchises to return if this is one of those franchises that is back from the dead, right? But you're not. You're pretty much denouncing it at this point, and it's like, dude, I'm sure again you're going out kicking and screaming, begging for all these remakes and remasters, and I get it. I understand. But it's not a bad idea to bring back Dead Rising at this point in time. I don't think it is. It has some really particularly good gameplay, which can't be ignored, and it was a big hit for the Xbox 360 and Capcom in general. So yeah, that was a pretty successful franchise that got killed by the westernization of Keiji Inafune.
You know what I'm saying? But there's other games that we've been asking for, that we grew up with.
Yeah, you're right. But again, when you wager these games, how much did they actually sell against Dead Rising doing millions? I'm sure like a new Dino Crisis. I'm sure Dino Crisis is like a franchise that didn't sell a lot. I'm pretty sure the first one was successful, but I don't think it even stacks close to what we have going on now. It's like at this point, Capcom is in their experimental development phase by bringing back these IPs that needs to be resurrected. But a Mega Man game in terms of business is not going to set the world on fire. They will be taking chances with IPs like that, and that's kind of risky. But at this point, I would say Capcom has those like big backbone franchises like Resident Evil and fucking Street Fighter and all that stuff, so I'm sure they could fund the smaller IP and allow it. And I don't think that making a new Dead Rising remaster is going to hurt anyone really, because they have the resources, they have the RE engine, they have the manpower to handle like multiple games at the same time. It's going to be all right, dude.
They ain't giving them to us. They is not giving us these games.
They're giving you a revived franchise right now, and of course there's future projects that we probably don't know about, so let's just see what they're cooking before we say, hey, they're not reviving other franchises and taking other risks, because quite honestly, outside of Monster Hunter Wilds, we don't know what else is coming out in 2025 from Capcom. I swear it was another game, but I don't remember the name. I'm sorry. The only big one I know is Monster Hunter Wilds. That's it. But yeah, for new IP, maybe Prog Model will come out 2025. I don't know, but we'll have to see. New or returning, really. Just let them cook and see what they deliver, as opposed to whining about it.
You get what I'm saying, people? What about Hunted Ground? I would like to see a remake to Hunted Ground.
He's very enthusiastic. It's kind of interesting, to be honest.
That would be awesome. That
And I play Haunting Ground, but I don't I don't think it's gonna come back anytime soon, really.
would be fantastic, actually. You know, or God Hand. That would be fantastic.
I wouldn't mind that either, but again, that's kind of up to the company. That's not up to anyone else. And like I said, there's other games that might take more priority than God Hand. Like I said, the poll winner was DMC, Dino Crisis, and Mega Man for revivals. The stuff that people want a sequel or a remake or a reboot to the most. So I think those should be top 3 priority, and then afterwards the cards can fall in place.
I think that'd be a good remake. You know, or bring back Beautiful Joe.
That'd be cool. But I want to see another DMC first before Beautiful Joe, and I want to see another Mega Man before Beautiful Joe. And I'm sure Capcom knows all this stuff by now. I'm pretty sure they've seen the poll already and what lies within. I'm sure they've seen it all. So you're kind of you're doing a little preaching. I understand that.
Come on now, Capcom. Come on. Oh, I got another one for you guys. Product number 3. Remember that GameCube?
What? Is he talking about like PN03, where it was like heavily ostracized and people said it was the controls kind of like bleh. And I just remember it was part of the Capcom 5 and it did not do as well as it was expected to do. I think it was actually just a very mediocre, average experience on the GameCube. I have a friend that likes that game, but as far as I heard of review wise, that game was torn to pieces. Let me just double check real quick to make sure that was, yeah, it was part of Capcom 5. It came out in 2003, and the infamous Capcom 5 is what was supposed to drive the GameCube, and it was PN03, Beautiful Joe, RE4, Killer 7, and a game called Death Phoenix, which was canceled. And the real big success out of that was RE4 and Beautiful Joe, I believe, and everything else kind of failed sales wise, I think. Killer 7 turned out to be like a cult classic, but otherwise that was it. It was kind of a half bomb, so to speak. So there you go. I mean, look, I hate to say this. I know people are going to say Renegade's sounding a little bit corporate right now, but this is business. Why are they going to bring back a game that didn't even strike a chord with the gamers to begin with? I don't understand his logic or thinking pattern at all. I think he's just like, imagine a toddler on the floor just wanting every singular flavor of ice cream and you can't afford it. You can't afford all of it. It's like almost $2,000. He wants everything done, and you know it's a risk. And I believe Capcom probably feels the same way if they listen to this guy. So again, I wouldn't have done PN03 at all. I think that's a franchise that needs to be dead and buried, honestly.
Game by Capcom, and they got bad reviews. Yo, this is their opportunity to bring that game back.
It got bad reviews. This is the opportunity to bring that game back. Yeah, sure. Where people just didn't click with it. It's the perfect time to bring that back.
But no. Capcom just want to stick with Monster Hunter, Resident Evil, Devil May Cry, and Street Fighter.
Sometimes businesses, I hate to say this, people, but you must understand this when I say this. Sometimes people have golden gooses, a trusted franchise where no matter what, unless the quality drops, because that could vary a little bit in the situation. But if you have a golden goose franchise and the game is good, obviously people are gonna buy it. That's why Resident Evil stood the test of time for like years upon years, and we're creeping up to that 30th anniversary. Yeah.
Oh, and now Dead Rising. That's what you want to stick with, right, Capcom? And this is why I can't stand the gaming industry now, because all they do is run the same tropes. That's all they do.
Well, as much as you blame the industry, you might have to also blame the fact that these games have like large fan bases that will buy these games no matter what. I mean, you might hate it. You might hate the truth, but it is true. That shows there is a demand for these main Golden Goose franchises that you claim to despise. Again, I love smaller little IPs. I do. I think it's fine to make like your Mega Mans or whatever if they decide to do that. And they have with Mega Man 11, even though that was a while ago. I really did like that game. That was a pretty good ass game. But still, I mean, it's not like Capcom isn't taking chances on that with that new not Onimusha game on Xbox, because that looks like something fun and entertaining, but it's a strategy game which might not draw in a lot of people. So I think maybe if you don't like their big budgeted franchises, you can support something more double A, or you can support that game that's coming out on Game Pass. I don't know what it's called though. Kasarigama? I don't know. Kamitsugama? I don't know. I haven't kept up with it, but still. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, buy that game. Support that game. Don't get it on Game Pass. Buy that day one, and maybe you'll be sending a message, as opposed to, damn, I might be playing this Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster anyway. Also, he hasn't. The video's almost over. He hasn't explained why the remaster is ugly, quote unquote. I don't know if he does that near the end, but I'm kind of waiting for that, and I haven't gotten it yet. Also, why the inclusion of PlayStation fanboys crying? That's clearly console war stuff. Console war rage bait for views.
You get what I'm saying, people? I mean, you got Sony over here dancing with Into Dawn. We got a remake of that. We got a remake of that. And you know who benefits with that? PC gamers. Because that's what I'm going to get it for. I'm going to get it for the PC instead.
Yeah. Oh, so he's one of those PC Master Race guys that likes to pour thermal paste on his hot dog. So it's like, okay. I'm not one of these dudes. I'm sorry. I pretty much think some of the worst opinions come from people who are biased to one platform, whereas me, I'm like hybrid master race. So I have multiple platforms, so when they announce something, I'm not really crying about it from an opposing platform, as opposed to, hybrid master race, where I have everything. I have every option, and people like this just keep making these rage bait assumptions and prospects and thoughts. It's just kind of weird, honestly. That's why I'm like, glorious hybrid master race. I have a PC, yes, and I also have an Xbox, yes, and I also have a PlayStation, yes, and I also have retro consoles, yes. So I'm not really too fussed about anything at this point. That's kind of how it feels.
Yeah, I platinumed it on PlayStation 4 now. This is the worst generation ever.
Worst generation ever. I mean, you want to really go back to like the old ET Atari days when it was really like kind of meh, you know what I mean? I don't think it was worse than that. It's a lot of high bar games still coming out today, even if they are remakes or even if they are ideas that's been treaded on before. I don't think this is the worst generation ever, dude.
And can't forget those PlayStation fanboys are crying about Sony is getting rid of physical media. They do that. I'm not buying another PlayStation. You think Sony care about you 40-year-olds and you 50-year-olds and you 60-year-olds? You think they care? They're catering to the teenagers, the early 20 guys and females. Come on now, man. You think they care? They do not care. Cause majority of their fan base on PlayStation are Fortnite players, baby.
Oh my god. Oh, it's like whatever point this guy has, it's just lost in ineptitude. It's quite. Everyone's a Fortnite player. It's quite baffling, actually.
And Apex players, baby, and Call of Duty players. And they don't care. They don't care. You know.
Or it might be better to say that there's a varying demographic for almost every platform. I think that makes a lot more sense.
But this has to be known, though. You know, the gaming industry died before we even seen it.
If the industry is dead, we're still talking about re-release video games and modern video games. I don't understand the logic here, especially your channel. So the industry still continues? Question mark?
I'm done with this video. I'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Damn it, I wanted him to say I'm done with gaming so I could laugh at that statement too, but I mean, I laughed at what he implied. And he never explained why the remaster is ugly. So on to the next guy, I guess. Oh, his video's longer. Jesus, I'll listen to as much as I can. I'll try to pause and stop when I can.
Dead Rising is getting a deluxe remaster. Let's take a look. This is the official game overview posted by Capcom themselves. 2006 original release, Gamers Cluster. Don't even give me time to read, bro. HD Remaster released on modern platforms. 26.
Didn't give me time to read, bro. You could pause the video. Damn. That's kind of weird.
16. Hell.
I might skip through some of this. Let's see. When they show Frank's face, I want to see when he reacts to that.
It's hitting. Okay. There's gonna be a lot of this going on. Why does he look like that? What did they do to my man Frank West? Why? Oh my god. Let's continue. Let's watch it a little bit. Let's see what's going on.
Remember that name, because the whole world's gonna know it in 3 days.
Okay. Different face, different voice actor. Really? You're gonna pull that shit?
Well, I mean, there is the Frank West 2005, 2006 skin. So if you want that, if you want the classic face, you could always pre-order the game. At least that was kind of like a fuck you move, in my opinion. That's like a low-key lateral fuck you move where Capcom's like, oh, well, if you want the original aesthetic, you can have the skin or whatever. And I mean, at least it's still in the game if you don't want to see the new Frank West. Now, personally speaking, I think other screenshots of him looks better. I will agree with you on the voice, though. I'm not really digging the voice, but we only heard like 2 sentences from this new voice actor. We gotta give him a chance. We gotta hear what he says in the emotional beats. We gotta hear what he says throughout the entire game. We gotta hear what he says through the new transceiver conversations. Let's just play the full game, give him a chance, and see how it sounds like. Of course, I don't think he's gonna live up to TJ Rotolo, but we've only based this on like 2 lines of dialogue at best. It's really that short, so we got to give it more of a chance, along with the other voice actors too, where I will agree, I'm not really feeling that. I'm not feeling the VAs right now, but my mind could change later on. I'm just gonna listen to them full game. I do agree, though, they should have had some sort of classic voice acting track, just like Silent Hill HD for Silent Hill 2, where you can go back to the original, switch it. They should have had that, but I can also understand, hey, we're voicing everything, even the transceiver calls, which you don't want to have dialogue back from the previous game. Well, maybe you do, right? Maybe you do. But I'm just talking from a design perspective here, where you don't want dialogue from the previous game. You're going to voice all the new transceiver calls, and then Frank doesn't talk. That's kind of weird and jarring, in my opinion. So when you think of it that way, I can kind of see why they changed it, but they should have gave Mr. Rotolo a phone call. And I do believe it's due to some union crap, which I think Capcom needs to really change. I mean, you make a lot of money anyway. I'm sure there's some voice actor out there that's like, Shekels, come on, Capcom. That's the one thing I will criticize.
I'm going to talk about why the words Deluxe Remaster are not fitting for what they're doing here. Afterwards, we'll get to it, but this is not a remaster. This is absolutely ludicrous that they would even think of calling it a remaster. That's not what this is.
Okay, I want to hear his reasoning on that, because he didn't explain anything when he said it there and stopped.
DRDR. Very clever. The Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. See, I'm excited. Don't get me wrong. This is one of the greatest games I've ever played in my life.
Did you just say zombie?
And we're in the mall. Willamette Mall. Oh my god.
What would you call it?
This looks great. The gameplay looks incredible for an old game that got a remaster.
That's kind of funny that he's kind of going in between, this is bad, this is good, this is bad, hey, this is great, but this is bad in the title, so I don't know if it's just a little clickbait or exaggerating certain points, but I will continue.
Master. Okay, so that's what Frank used to look like, right? Beautiful man. I can hear his
He's a beautiful man. Frank has always been a little rugged looking, in my opinion. The new one still is kind of rugged looking, but that's kind of average Americana ugly protagonist. That's what Frank West has always been. I don't get why people say Frank West was beautiful in some of their statements, or that he looked amazing, because I always thought they were going for the average ugly looking American for the original, and they're kind of still doing that, even though there is alterations to talk about. And in some proportions, like someone brought up a good point that his eyes just are a little bit too, it looks a little bit too cartoony looking in some aspects. I will agree with that, but it's not the worst look in the world. The only thing I laughed at is that every Dead Rising game, it seems like, even if this is a deluxe remaster, this man's hairline is all the way peeled back. They peeled his cap back compared to the original, that's for sure.
And then, what did they do to him? Why does he look like that? Why did his nose get 10 times bigger? Why do, like, the fucking crow's feet, the hairline is way more recessed? What did they do to him?
They kind of, I mean, I'm gonna be fair, I'm gonna defend this part. After Dead Rising 1, his hairline started to recede more and more and more and more and more, and then even in his DR1 renditions in fighting games, his hairline is peeled back a little bit like this. So I guess maybe that's a little bit consistent right there. You never know.
Why does he look like this? Why does he look so much older? Why does he look just not like Frank?
I agree, it's weird that he looks older, but is it the worst thing in the world? No.
West. This is hashtag not my Frank West. Let's keep going. Isabella. You don't really get to see her too much. It's Brad. Brad looks okay. Madonna looks great. Madonna got a nice touch up. The mall.
Goddamn fucking helicopter going past my house. Yeah, all the other characters, they do look fine, in my opinion. I said Brad looked like Steve Harvey, which he does.
Looks amazing. The gameplay looks great. Obviously 4K, 60 FPS. Everything looks really good. I'm not seeing any red flags as far as gameplay is concerned yet. We got the mall lady, a psychopath. Look at this. Adam the Clown. Oh my god. We have all the psychopaths. Carlito, but they don't really show Carlito much. He's just kind of there.
I don't think they need to. I think we have a good indication of them showing them. I just want to get to the point where it's like, this is bad, and that had to be clickbait, dude.
Well, actually,
He's not English, that's okay. We're getting
to call this
weird
game a
subtitles.
remake, considering the work we put into it.
Then don't call it that.
Before we could even ask a question, Mudai was.
Wait, did he
giving
say
us
we can't call it a remake? It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call. If it wouldn't be an exaggeration to call it a remake, call it a remake. You've clearly remade the game. It's clearly not the same game anymore. Why?
First thing you
Well, again, later in his interview, he says we've based all of these moves and everything within the game and the structure in general on the original game. We just rebuilt some things from the ground up. I'm sure, like, again, you know, the naming convention is odd. I'm not gonna lie. And he says, you know, it's a safe bet. If anyone called this a remake, that would also be fine. Therefore, I don't see the issue with the naming convention, you know. Again, I don't think it's also new enough like the Resident Evil reimaginings where those are completely different games and places. We're talking like completely new content. It's not just from the ground up where they took data from the original Resident Evil 4 and you have the same animation or whatever, or you might have the same walking or sprinting animation. It's a completely new game at this point. So I think there are those reimagined differences that do not apply to this remaster. I do expect this to be a very, very beefy quality of life package at best.
you'll notice is the improved graphics.
No shit. No shit. We're looking at Unreal Engine, I think. Probably.
He said Unreal Engine when we know it's RE Engine at this point. Even if we didn't get that information, it's kind of brain dead to assume that it wouldn't be on Capcom's proprietary RE Engine.
4K 60 FPS looks awesome.
We've also made quite a few quality of life improvements.
What do you
like
mean
the
by
ability
this?
To move while aiming,
Oh, here we go.
as well
Were
as
you not
other
able to do that
adjustments make
before?
controlling
No, you could not aim and shoot in the original Dead Rising. This is new to the game, which is, once again, it's great that they did some mechanics and they built it from the ground up with these new animations and these new strategies to apply to the game while also keeping it very reminiscent and very similar.
Frank, more
I feel like the best solution would be to say this might be a hybrid between one-for-one remake and enhanced remaster. Like, I think that's probably the best thing you could say. It's not a reimagining like RE2 was, where it's not even reminiscent to the old game anymore outside of thematics and levels. Everything is new. Everything is coordinated in that game. Fucking the entire combat has changed, and it's not even fixed camera anymore. So go figure. That's like changing the entire game completely, versus just this, where it's like, yeah, you can still do the same lariat, disemboweler, and the face crusher that you always could do, and it looks reminiscent to the original.
intuitive.
That feels weird that you couldn't do that before.
Thanks to popular demand,
No, it's
we've
not.
added an
Shit, fucking, I would have paid to move and shoot because that was fucking annoying. Especially when you're fighting Cletus, you can't move and shoot his ass, so you have to hide behind a sign. Like, the boss fight there is like super counterintuitive.
autosave feature.
Oh, that's big fucking news. Obviously, this is my first time hearing this shit.
Fully voiced in
I don't like that there's an autosave feature, but I'm gonna save my opinions on that. You go watch my video on that for Dead Rising shit.
9 languages. With
Don't
text
care,
in 14
because none of them are the original voice actor.
chance to
Don't
enjoy
care.
I don't think that matters really, because again, they're expanding the vocals of the game to be voiced in more countries, which they did not do for the original Dead Rising, making it more of a interconnected worldwide release. Because again, you have to think about Capcom fans in other places too, because you know, we all don't just live in the US. So I think that is a huge deal for people internationally that can finally witness Dead Rising in their own native tongue.
Here.
just dialogue.
It's like, dude, you may not care, but someone in Portugal, maybe they care, or wherever they listed the voices.
We've also made some improvements to NPC behavior.
Bullshit.
Will make surviving
Nah,
some-
NPCs.
Why is this bullshit though? What the fuck? He said them fixing the survivor AI is bullshit. How?
Nah, NPCs are always gonna be broken. They're gonna be broken forever. There's
No, okay, that reaction right there just proves that there's stairs right here where the NPCs couldn't climb the goddamn wall, dude. That's a huge quality of life improvement, actually. They're always gonna be broken. I can go up them stairs now. I don't have to worry about the motherfuckers no more.
stairs to get up there. That wasn't a thing before. They just had to jump
Sounds like a
up.
complete overhaul. It makes
Yeah, I don't want that original Survivor AI. I don't know. Like, I don't even care if it's like foreign at that rate. I'm like, yeah, you can climb the stairs now, so I don't have to worry about you pressing the triangle command to constantly get you to move up the wall. I think that's perfectly fine.
makes
It
me
is.
wonder if
It
the
is an
game's
entire
main
overhaul.
Concept is still intact.
No, watch them change some shit.
If you've played the original, rest assured that its core remains unchanged in this deluxe remaster. We did our best.
You know, a lot. I want to bring this debate up real quick before I continue, but let me cook here. A lot of people like to say remake or remaster or reimagining is bad. They like to say this a lot because, again, I get it. Some people have an attachment to a previously established game, and I mean, in the annals of time, that game is still going to be good no matter what, right? Dead Rising 1 is going to be good no matter what. But also, when you're doing a little thing called Nuance, and you're reviewing a game, whether it's been in the vault for like a couple of years or so, when a game ages more and more and more, you should start to notice some reasonable flaws. Maybe something that didn't work back then probably wouldn't work now, right? With the Survivor AI, of course they had to fix it. With some of the new performance boost, 4K 60, of course that's a given. Now the game is going to feel a lot more fluid that way, and I think that's fine. That impact hit where you hit someone and it's like a 2 or 3 second frame delay, that's not going to happen anymore, and I always thought that was weird. It was more noticeable in the remaster, the original remaster of the first game, where they ported it to like PS4, Xbox One, all that shit, and I was just like, this frame hitch of impact is kind of weird. So now that's not going to be there anymore, and more fluid animation and fixed Survivor AI. So not a lot of people like to dunk on the new thing and say, oh well, it's new as shit. Why do we need this? This is so unnecessary. But they can't be nuanced enough to talk about what additions they are making to the game. Now, there are bad remakes. I would say when they excluded content in Resident Evil 3 Remake from the original, that was a bad decision. When they made the 13 remake and it wasn't as good as the original, those are examples where I would say they are bad in those regards. I'm not going to say fully, because I do believe that RE3 Remake is a game where it is a good game. Just, it's a good game, bad remake because they cut so much content. However, that being said, if a game has a ton of improvements, which RE3 Remake does, you know, better dodging, and you should be able to name that clearly, as opposed to saying it's all bad, the original game better, when there's aged material in the original game that may not have worked the first time around. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, I mean, you can't walk and shoot in the original RE4. I wish you could. You can't parry. Now you can parry people, and it adds more dynamic mobility and dynamic defense to the combat. We should compare and contrast properly, and I feel like people don't do that with the original and the remake. They say, oh, original better, old game good, new game bad, and I don't think that is a constructive piece of nuanced discussion between what the remake does and what the original does. It's just not. So I had to bring that up as a sort of countermeasure because I see channels do this a lot and it leads to some pretty bad faith and arguably shitty talking points.
To respect the direction of
The direction.
It's like I love the original Dead Rising, but I could take the fucking rose tinted glasses off and talk about the stuff that I did not like in that game. And if they improve it in this remaster, and if there will be things that I don't like or do like, I should be able to point it out all the same when comparing it to the original. It's not a one-way binary street where everything they're doing is just bad. I can't really agree with that. Because that survivor AI being fixed, I mean, that just means that the survivor AI is going to be better in this remaster probably than the older game.
Respect the direction. The fundamental gameplay.
With this, we believe
I don't even know what he was implying there. I don't know. Maybe he said that out of a fit of excitement or dismay. I can't tell.
that both veterans and newcomers alike will be able to enjoy a fresh experience.
Fresh. I don't want fresh. I want the same old shit.
He's got to be trolling. There's no fucking way. I want the same old shit. You know, there's a game you can play right now. It's called Dead Rising 1 on the fucking PlayStation right now, or I think Xbox. I don't know if Dead Rising 1 is on Steam, but you can play that shit right now. If you want the same old game, it's like, why don't you just go play that? I don't get it. I don't understand these newfangled people. I don't get it. It's like if you have options, use them.
Just looking better. German suplex. Mamma mia.
The original game was released. We believe we accomplished this goal with Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster.
Maybe you did.
We hope that everyone will give it a try.
I will. I'm probably not gonna like it.
Any definitive answers out of
Satoshi
He's one of those people that already made his mind up.
Director
Takamatsu.
Satoshi Takamatsu, the third degree. It turns out he had ambitions of his
Oh
own for this
no.
project.
Don't tell me you're the one that fucked this up, dude.
Because the original came out
18 years ago?
many limitations during
That's
development.
disgusting. I remember playing this when it came out.
To nearly 2 decades of
18 years.
technological
That's
advancements,
old, bro.
we were
That's
able
old
to
as hell.
accomplish a lot
Okay,
that
there's Isabella.
couldn't be
She's looking good.
Yeah, it's old. Maybe that's why they're doing quality of life improvements for this game. It's just a thought, right? It's just a thought why they do remakes, right? Just a little thought, I guess, behind the process that, you know, some people just don't mention or bring up sometimes. It happens though.
Good. She looks like relatively the same.
decades
Let's look
of
at her
technological
before.
advancements.
This
We were
before. Well, you can't really see her
able
too
to
well.
accomplish a
But
lot that-
oh, they guarded like the hair in the face, which kind of sucks. But like, I don't hate that because they didn't make her look old and fucked. Like they didn't.
I think that's just the lighting. It's something with the ambient lighting, which is it's the same thing that happened to Frank too. When people said his hair looks like he's old, but in other screenshots his hair is like brunette normal. So I think that's just the lighting for Isabella. Once she's in like a dark area, then it's not gonna probably look like that. It's probably just part of the RE engine and why it illuminates the hair a little bit, even if they're supposed to be brunettes. So I think that's the problem that we're seeing. She doesn't have like white hair. I don't think that's it. It's just
Ruined
some weird light reflection there.
Isabella.
couldn't be done
They
back
ruined
then.
Frank. Like, what did they do to my boy? Hold on. That little piece of Frank right there. Hold the fuck on. What is that? That is not Frank West, bro. That is Frank East. That is Frank not West, man.
It's Dan Aykroyd.
Oh my god, that is not right. That is not right at all. They made him look old. If they didn't, it's the hair and the crow's feet that are doing it for me. Everything else, okay, whatever. The nose, oh, a little big, but like his hair is just, he looks old as shit. Like, I don't know how old Frank is supposed to be, but like you shouldn't change him that much.
Isn't Frank like in his almost? He's almost 40. Isn't he like 36, something like that? So he's not the most, you know, he's not a super spring chicken, but I do agree that it's gonna take some getting used to with this look for me, but it's not a deal breaker for the game for the most part.
And I know he kind of had like a recessed hairline a little bit in the old game, but like not like this, man. That's a bit ridiculous. And those crow's feet, he didn't have crow's feet. He had he was a baby face in comparison to this shit. Like, what is going on?
I think that's just, even if it was 1-for-1, Frank would still have wrinkles. I believe it's the thing with just, you're going from MT framework to the RE engine. Obviously, things are going to look different no matter what.
The old man looks like the young man compared to Frank now. That doesn't even make sense.
Capcom's other zombie franchise focused on quality over quantity.
Resident Evil's good shit. This has nothing to do with that.
Dead Rising took a different approach.
Yeah.
Goal was to pack as many zombies as possible into that huge...
Wait, did they just say Resident Evil did quality over quantity, but Dead Rising did the opposite approach? I get they're trying to say, like, oh, there's a lot of zombies. But, like, are they, like, that's just saying this game sucks in comparison to Resident Evil. And it's gonna suck in comparison to the remakes.
I don't think he gets that statement, because I get it. It's like, Resident Evil is a lot more linear, focused, very graphically intensive. I mean, look at how Remake 1 looks on the GameCube. That game was on the GameCube. It blows away Dead Rising that was on the Xbox 360 visually. Let's stop. Let's stop the cap, all right? That's what they're saying. They put a lot more quality aspects into Resident Evil in terms of, you know, its appeal, how it looked. They had a straight through line of their gameplay style, whereas Dead Rising is like, what can we do with picking up tons of weapons and hitting zombies with it? I'm not saying there isn't some quality aspects to Dead Rising, but you know, how many zombies can we put on screen where they might not look the most graphically impressive compared to something like a Crimson Head? That's what they're saying. Now we have the ability to sharpen up some of the gameplay aspects as well as the visuals of Dead Rising, which is a semi-open world game. That's what they're saying. Dead Rising focused on quality, how much they could cram into the game and how much you can have fun with, while RE was a lot more focused on, you know, survival horror elements and making the game look as crisp as possible. It's not saying that Dead Rising is bad, just that they had two different design philosophies.
What I hear when they say that. I don't know.
This meant each individual zombie.
No, they're just talking about the amount of zombies.
We would have liked.
Okay.
However,
And now look at those. Like, this looks like a RE2 remake zombie. It looks fucking phenomenal. That's the point that they're trying to make, and you just didn't get it.
we were able to focus on
This game's gonna be like legit spooky.
As the art director,
It's real dark in there now.
pleased that we
Adam
were
the
able to
Clown,
provide
bro.
high-end
Oh,
models
get out of
and
here, Frank.
production
Look at him.
both the main
He looks
character,
incredible.
Frank, and all of the
You can
NPCs.
change side characters a
Of
bit.
course,
Like,
another
they changed
critical
Adam the Clown and made him look
aspect of
great.
Dead Rising that
They
we
just
have to
changed Frank
address
too much.
is the
Too
shopping
much.
mall setting.
He was thick though. He's like wide as fuck. He's like
In
me.
the original game, the Willamette Parkview Mall is made up of several areas.
Yeah.
Like Entrance Plaza and
Paris
Paradise
Plaza.
each with its own unique characteristics.
Are they changing that?
We've taken these designs and evolved them even further.
How?
by
How are you
adding
gonna do that?
real-time lighting and shadow
Oh, it's
effects.
just making it look better.
So
Okay,
that
okay,
each
okay, yeah.
location
I'll get off your
takes
ass on
a
that.
different appearance,
That looks
depending on the
amazing.
time of day.
I love that. Time of day is a thing now.
That's how much detail we
Well,
put
I
into
think
this
that was a
project.
thing before.
Yeah, I thought that always was a thing. It would go night and then it would go day, with the time. It's just that I guess they're adhering to making them all look a little bit different, a little bit more refined in detail, lights on, lights off, certain things popping up if it's nighttime or something, so
But like the shading and shadows are definitely going to be real.
yeah, and the shadows are like a lot more realistic where you go from dusk to dawn to night. And I think that's what they're talking about.
really good. This guy's just the art director. I'll lay off this dude because he didn't fuck it up. Well,
For
fucked up Frank
animations,
entirely.
we tried to limit
So I mean, I guess he did.
unnecessary changes and use the original data as much as possible, especially during action scenes.
I don't care.
We could have made them more realistic with today's tools, but we wanted to preserve.
Also, I want to stop it right here. It's funny how he says, I don't care, but this is the important aspect where they're making a lot more of the comical movements and gameplay akin to Dead Rising 1 as much as possible. So this would cater to him, but he just completely said he didn't care. So I don't know. Go figure with that logic.
Today's tools. But we wanted to preserve the unique and comical movements that made the original Dead Rising so special.
That is funny to say. They could have made it realistic, but they wanted to keep it similar. Okay, what is this shit?
That's a good thing, and if they changed the animations completely, you would have bitched about it to no end in sight. It's that simple, boy.
Prisoner 1, I'm gonna smear you all over the pavement. Why is, like, I'm assuming, man, there's really a lot to dissect in this screenshot alone.
I'm just gonna say this for the record. I really don't care that they changed the convict names. The only thing I care about is Gone Guru playing during this, which is going to play if they allowed licensed soundtracks to return. So I kind of got my wish. I'm really not gonna complain about a lot there.
That I've kind of been missing. Let me actually go back. A Mother's Lament was the mission there. Okay, first of all, we have the icons for Prisoner 1, 2, and 3. Don't like that. That was not a thing in the original. To that extent, it wasn't enemies. It would always mark like your companions and shit. It would not mark enemies like that. You got the mini map going on, and not the mini map, but like the little indicator.
I kind of don't agree because I would like to see where an enemy is with their health bar, and if I don't, I have to. It's sort of like when you have to run after Carlito in certain aspects, and you don't see the health bar until he's like directly in front of you. So I mean, I don't mind that aspect at all, where you see like everyone's health bar, you know, within your field of views. That's fine.
Here at the top of the screen, that's new. That's fine. That's welcomed. I can agree with that. The mission thing on the side of the screen, that's very similar. Fine. It's not too in the way. Same with the icon in the top right for the inventory. The showing of damage is actually welcome as well. Before, if your weapon that you had equipped was damaged, the only way to tell you is the weapon would blink red when it's like about to break, and
I agree with all this.
that's kind of not helpful. There's a little health bar for the mannequin top, that's good. The 233 killed, that's the exact same. Prisoner, like that shit on the side though, I'm hoping that's optional, because that's probably just like subtitle type stuff.
I mean, you just answer your own question.
But like, I don't want to see Adam the Clown going like, like I don't want to read that on the side of the screen.
I kind of get that, but again, if it's just a subtitle option, you can probably turn it off or on.
I don't. That's a bit dumb, bit over the top, but whatever. Game looks good. Game looks great. Frank West does not. There's a couple little things that I'm there's a couple beige flags going on.
We had to know why this is called a deluxe
Producer
remaster.
of the deluxe
To do that, we
remaster. I'm
tracked
sure
down
this
the game's
guy,
producer
this
and
guy,
managed to
this
get his
fucking guy. I want to hear what he's got to say.
I think Dead Rising is a unique game.
It
with
is.
extremely tight game design.
Agreed.
Even by today's standards.
Run for your life. Get to the stairs.
However, we
This looks
also
so
knew
different.
The original game was released 18 years ago, and that improvements were needed to
This
reach
dude probably
a
wasn't
modern
even born
audience.
when this game came out. That's the end of it?
Why we focused on improving playability, in addition to overhauling the graphics. This game truly deserves the title of Deluxe Remaster.
I disagree.
Its unique game design allows it to stand apart from
Oh,
other
man.
zombie games. It feels fresh even today.
Because it's new! You just made it, dude! It's not even fucking out yet! Okay, listen.
I know what this rant is gonna be. He's gonna be like, I hate Frank. It looks good, but it's not the same game as the original. And I'm like, well, play the original. That's kind of how I feel.
Frank is ugly. There's a few, like,
Frank's always been ugly. Yeah, I think the rest of this rant is gonna be a nothing burger. So let's move on to the last portion, which is Larry and freaking Cheryl. So I'm gonna pause it here. So you guys know how I feel about these sort of grifting videos. I open the video and then I hit mute immediately. Because I think it's just a spew of trash. So for the most part, what do I think about them changing Larry into a white man and them changing Cheryl's dress or whatever? So I mean, I'm gonna be brutally honest on this part. I just really don't give too much of a fuck. I always find these videos to be absolutely hilarious and just pretty much people getting offended over the slightest change whatsoever. I don't think this is a deal breaker though. I'm gonna stress this, okay? This is not a deal breaker to me. If it's a deal breaker to you, that's fine, but it's not a deal breaker to me whatsoever. Larry Chiang is a boss that you kill in like 3.5 seconds, and the only pivotal mark that is left is he leads to Carlito's death, which is a more impactful scene than Larry Chiang himself with his 5 minutes or maybe even 4 if I'm being generous, this amount of screen time. Personally speaking, he looks like Senator Armstrong now. I think is more funny than anything. Could he still be Asian? Because people say he's white, but I just can't tell with the glasses on and the glaring look. But hey, if he is an Americana meat man, a butcher, I mean, it doesn't really bother me to the point where I'm like, I'm not gonna buy the game over it because there's so much going on under the hood that they're fixing that why would I avoid the game? I don't care that much. Same goes for Cheryl. Now let me see if I can find them talking about Cheryl, which I will keep them muted. They will remain muted because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of culture war brain rot going on. There, I know I'm jumping around a bit. I found it. So this guy's saying, Dead Rising Remaster has been censored. Clearly covered up Cheryl and removed her fishnet stockings. Okay, so there's one thing that's kind of hilarious with the statement, right? It's not the dress itself, because they clearly did change the dress, all right, and it's still kind of, you know, skimpy. No matter how you look at it, there's a little bit of a boob window going there. Doesn't really matter. It's like, you know, one person brought up a pretty interesting theory that he said they used this dress on the left for a few of the female zombies or for a few of the characters, and they didn't want to have the same dress for other characters, so they decided to change it around so stuff could be different in the remaster with clothes and apparel. I don't know if that's the reason, but if it is to where they don't want everyone to have the same sort of dress texture and whatnot, that's fine. I would prefer a character to look different than to see the same NPC, or the same zombie NPC, for example, that wears the goddamn plaid shirt. I don't want to see 6 of those motherfuckers around. I want to see some variety in that regard. You know what I mean? So if that is the case, in my personal opinion, that is fine, because I'd rather have the survivors and characters look varied in the process. But this guy is complaining about stockings being removed from a woman's legs and saying that they covered it up and they removed her stockings and all that other shit. Isn't removing stockings from a woman's dress allowing more of a change for her legs to be nude, as opposed to how it was in the original with her wearing covered up stockings in the first place? I don't fucking get this logic that people are stupid, man. Like, I don't fucking understand it. Apparently now having naked legs in a video game is some type of like grand removal or whatever. Like, yes, they removed her stockings, but shouldn't you be fucking gooning over the fact that you're seeing more of her legs? Like, what is going on now with some of these complaints? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. Shouldn't you be happy And you can see more thigh meat in the process. You fucking gooner. Like, come on, man. That shit is hilarious to me, dog. And that's all I have to say about it, really. It's not a deal breaker to me whatsoever. I think that the pros, just some of the stuff that they're changing in terms of survivor AI and fixing it would be less of a nightmare, because I played Dead Rising recently. I had some headaches with that game. And I remember, I was like, yeah, some things they can fix in certain areas, this or that. Still a great game, but I believe certain parts needed tuning, fine tuning, and now we have that answer. So it's not gonna make me boycott the game, and I don't think it's as much of a deal breaker as people are making out to be. But that is my criticism sucks for Dead Rising here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time. Later.